Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Trademark Podcast. I'm super excited. Today we have Laura Kelly, CPO of Clover Growth Partners, here with us. And Laura, I'm so excited that you're here. I have seen you and met you so many times, but just so happy that you showed up and are showing up for the trades in such a big way. So tell me just a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to get started.
Yeah. Sarah, cheers for having me. Something I love about what you do is you facilitate guests being more at peace when they show up. So thank you for that. My name is Laura, CPO of Clover Growth Partners. Obviously, the accent would probably tell you pretty fast. I'm not from here, originally from Ireland, came here to learn how I could market my business back home because I was getting referred a lot and I figured that would eventually die out. Came here to learn that with the intention of going back, met many of you probably know Josh Kelly, my husband, and that plan went awry. And we're now with many businesses. We've 6 home service companies, Clover Growth Partners, some other businesses outside of the trades, 2 kids, and a happy life. Definitely a life that we work hard to have. We're grateful for. There's ups and downs in every person's journey, and I'm here to share what I've learned in being a founder, an ambitious gal that also cares about showing up for her family and being healthy and happy and fulfilled along that journey. So that's kind of a very high level scoop on who I am, what I care about. And let's dive in, girl. Ask me whatever you want to ask me.
Okay, let's do the intro and then let's dive in.
Step into The Trademark, your go-to podcast for everything marketing in the trades. Hosted by award-winning industry marketing experts Sarah Gerardo from Remarkable and Eric Thomas from Rival Digital. Together, we're here to unite the worlds of trades and marketing, bringing you insights, stories, and strategies from the heart of the industry. Whether you're a trade professional, a marketing expert, or somewhere in between, this is the place for you. Listen in as we're here for the big ideas, the game changers, and the everyday successes. Because at The Trademark, we're with the trades and for the trades.
All right. So I know that you mentioned when we were talking earlier about the balance of it all. Like, you run a ton of businesses, you help the trades in so many ways, and you're a mom and you're a wife. And I love when people talk about balance because to me, there is no such thing as balance. I'm a single mom. I've done I have 3 businesses. I get it, right? So tell me what that looks like for you. Tell me the opportunities that you see as being all of the things to all of the people and still loving yourself the most.
Yeah. The first thing that came to my mind when you said that was I do think it's kick-ass that I do all of this stuff, but I feel like it's wildly kick-ass that you do it as a single mom. And I'm not saying that to flatter you. I'm saying that because I know that it's sometimes nice to be able to call it a day and have somebody that can help me balance the load. And you've shown up in the industry as a bubbly, bright light. And I'm sure that sometimes takes frickin' work because, you're balancing a lot. So yeah, this concept of balance and trying to show up as one's best self amid life's inevitable struggles is something that I think most people share. And I'm happy to be, honest and transparent about how I go about navigating that. Something that helps me a lot is to become wildly clear on the results I care about possessing in each area of my life. So how I go about, you can go about doing that in various different ways. So you could ask yourself this question: what is categories of my life that if I don't focus on nurturing, they're kind of going to inevitably not become as great? And then you could define those categories based on that way of thinking. Or if you're unsure of your life categories or your areas, your areas for ongoing improvement, you could just literally dump everything in your life that you're responsible for on a sheet of paper, and you could chunk it, and then you could chunk it, and the categories then they kind of reveal themselves. So if you write down keeping a healthy fridge, being able to drop my kids to school, ensuring that we hit budget every month, making sure my team feel cared about this week, and you break everything down, the categories can sometimes reveal themselves.
Mhm.
And what allows one go about engaging in each of those categories with passion versus strain is having a solid purpose for each of those categories. So there's various ways to go about attaining success. You can either be running from something painful or be pulled by something pleasurable, either a vision, which is typically a vision for a better future,
Mhm.
or something that truly, something that truly pulls on one's heartstrings and pulls you forward versus running from something. There's both will allow you land at accomplishment, but one, I study a lot the science of achievement. That's my whole background, like human performance, both in business and in life. And typically, if those that experience success and fulfillment are pulled by something compelling versus running away from something terrifying. Um,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of like Michael Jordan, for instance. He was constantly running from the pain of his past. And as a result, he accomplished great things. There are also wildly successful people that have accomplished great things but have experienced fulfillment. So I care a lot about bringing about fulfillment for people and for myself and for my kids and for my husband. So when I map out each area of life, like for me, I'll actually pull it up. I map it out and I do this weekly so I can go about my week with intention.
Mhm.
Um, it's I have different life categories. I have life categories for business and I have life categories personally. For each life category, I then ask myself at the start of every week, what are the life categories that both in business and personal that need the most focus this week? Because typically I have like 6 personal categories, 6 professional, and can't always focus on you can't focus on them all any given week typically. So I say, what are the categories of focus that could do with the most attention this week? That if I focused on, it propels my life forward in the most significant way. What would those categories be? And some weeks it might be being a more devoted wife, and some weeks it might be focusing harder on sales, and another week it might not be as focused on sales because stuff's pumping, and it's more focused on culture or honing more in on profit. So at the start of the week on a Sunday, I would say to myself, okay, in this area of the transformative leader, as an example, or the I have one of my categories that I just worked on recently was the ultimate business partner. I have a lot of business partners, and I care about them feeling wildly supported. So
Mhm.
a result at the start of the week would be like to the ultimate business partner, what is a result I want to go about accomplishing this week in this category? And it's like to ensure every single one of my partners feels wildly supported and are on track for their most important goals. And the next step is purpose. What's the purpose of that? Well, I care about the lives of my partners expanding. All right, what's my massive action plan associated with bringing how can I bring that about? What are the actions associated? And I literally just dump them all, and then
Mhm.
I ask myself, okay, of these set of of these set of action items, what are the 20% of action items that will push me 80% of the way, that will get me the closest to this result the fastest? And then they're the ones I time block for and prioritize. So I do that across every category so I can be wildly intentional. I think what gets a lot of business owners and like achievers drained and burnt out is
Mhm.
because they mix up activity for results. They're not the same thing. You can be wildly busy, and I've fallen into this freaking trap. Like
Yeah, I
I
think we all have. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You can be go excuse the vulgar balls to the wall all day long and have little to show for it. And and engaging in busyness doesn't necessarily mean you're contributing to the enhancement of your freaking business or life. And how you can avoid that is it's a process that I call the RPM system. So it's getting clear on the result. What is the purpose behind that result? So you have like an emotional pull. And then
Mhm.
what is my massive action plan? What are the action items that could contribute to me getting this result, to bringing this result about? And then I think about, okay, of all these things, just because I have all these action items, I might not necessarily need to engage in all those action items to bring that result about. But there are probably 3 or 4 that if I engaged in, that result would be wildly achieved. Uh,
Mhm.
that intentionality has changed my whole world. It's allowed me show up. It's allowed me see my life from an outside perspective. And many of you probably know my father-in-law, Paul Kelly, wildly, is just a humble, brilliant dude, and has got, a wonderful marriage, wonderful kids, a thriving business. And he says one of the, I've been, my mentorship now is more indirect because we hang out a lot, but at the
Right.
start, like direct, I would like have calls with him, like, hey, like, what separates those that like can actually, I'm not going to name names, but there was a guy in the home service industry, really large company. The gentleman passed away, and at his funeral, it was so depressing. Nobody had good shit to say about him. And I was like, but I know when the freaking day comes that my father-in-law passes, people will rave about him. Like, awesome dude, and had the fruits. Like, what? And he says, so I would ask him these kind of questions, and he would say, oh, one's ability to look at themselves from like a helicopter perspective, so that you're
Mhm.
not like, you're one, look at being able to look at yourself from a helicopter perspective, and see what is versus what you'd like to be there is really important. So it kind of is that concept, in play. And the leaders that I love to hire and be around and be influenced by are typically the leaders that don't see things better than they are, don't see things worse than they are, but see things as they are.
Mhm.
And this way of thinking kind of brings that about. Me and Paul talk about this a lot, and my husband Josh. What do we care? What do we care about facilitating for the people that work alongside us? And we care about enhancing their life personally, professionally, and financially. But a way that we can do that efficiently is by creating a really good thinker. And this RPM framework that I've just shared with you it's a framework for thinking. It's a framework
Mhm.
for thinking about how to show up in the most efficient way and intentional way in one's life. So I think that was probably a long-winded way of sharing with you how I think about evolvement and how I bring it about, and that's how.
No, I think it's great. I think that you've also developed systems and processes inside of your life to not manage the beautiful chaos that sometimes it has, but to really regulate yourself and your nervous system
Yeah.
because that's what we're doing when we
Right.
create intentionality. We're loving ourselves as much as possible by giving ourselves structure and balance in the ways that we can see control, right? And, even when it feels out of control, because you're right, the setting the task for the week are literally tasks sometimes, and those tasks can be delegated or they just are tasks that we make up. And
Yeah.
I think sometimes we forget that we are literally writing our own list of to-dos and we don't have to do all
For
day
sure.
long,
For sure.
right? I think that's the biggest part. And then, when you said like looking at yourself from like a helicopter view, it's more about taking yourself as a human and looking inward about what do I want? What is my passion that drives me and leads me forward? How do I take that to others with serving them and not taking from them, but like leaning in with them? And
Yeah.
I think that that's the passion that drives people forward because pain does drive people forward. It can turn things into purpose. I know for myself, like that has been a driver as well. I was
Sure.
talking to my friend
Same.
about this week. But at the same time, like once I hit that adrenaline rush of action and dopamine, I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna stop. Right. Like, watch me. And
Yes.
that's the cool thing about, turning your pain into purpose. It's like, now I have a purpose and, like, that's my driver. And so I think you're absolutely on track, and especially with how founders can, organize their time, organize their thoughts because you can't be everywhere and anywhere at the same time. It just doesn't it's just not time is, like, scarce, infinite, and,
Right.
you know, all of the things. It's about emotion, and emotion does drive our time. And
Yeah.
so yeah, yeah, and so I think, like, that's the coolest thing, and I love the thought leadership that you have behind that, and I love that you take that with Grow with Clover and you implement that into businesses. So, how many businesses have you helped develop this structure, develop this way of thinking, and what was the opportunity that you saw inside of the business to take them there?
Yeah, great question. as you've been talking, there's the concept of leverage kept coming to my brain, and it kind of, and it links quite well to your question. As we step into businesses, whether they're a client or a partner. So when I say client, we have a program called Contractor Catapult, where they come in and where they're partner in a sense, but we don't necessarily own a percentage of their business. We've 6 companies where we own a percentage of the business, and that's a whole other thing. But we've hundreds of members where we see them as a partner, because when we position ourselves as a partner in our mind, we tend to serve them better. But technically not partners. We are partnered on 6 home service companies, but these are our clients. And when we come in and we go to work with them, and we care about their goals, deeply, we ask ourselves, okay, yeah, what needs to change in order for this company to expand? And typically the things that we go about, uh, aiming to bring about are more growth, revenue, more profit, and then a higher quality of life for everyone involved. Because, like you said, emotion causes motion, and the motion that we want to engage in is like, there's a gentleman, Dustin from Any Hour, I was listening to. I think it might have been your guys' podcast, and he said his most important job is to show up to work in a really freaking good mood. And it's so important, because it affects how you think, and therefore affects how you engage with absolutely everyone and everything. So they're the things we focus on, like driving profit, and an improved quality of life. Because in order for one's revenue to grow, profit to grow, and quality of life to improve, a whole other load of stuff needs to happen for those results to be brought about. But typically, they're the most important results, because if you have more profit, you could facilitate more growth, and you could facilitate more opportunity for everyone around you. And we don't want you to just have more profit and more revenue, and then go home at the end of the day and you have zero to give to your fam. So we have systems in place to bring all of that about. And when I work directly with leaders, there's a program of mine called the Three Promises program, and it's all about, how can I help this human expand personally, professionally, and financially, in a way that they're just a more lit up human, but the organization has wildly higher results, because ultimately the business owners pay for this. And I don't just want a fulfilled human and results aren't changing in the organization. I want results to change, so the business owner can continually justify this cost, because it reflects, it brings about a lot of return for them. So they're the things we focus on. And when I when I when we were chatting there, and the concept of leverage kept coming into my head, I think all of us as leaders and as owners need to ask ourselves, where could we engage in more leverage? Like, how could we leverage ourselves better? So what are the activities that, when I engage in them, I am the most qualified person to engage in them? What are those activities, so I can appropriately delegate the rest? And it's another, like, results way of thinking. I don't necessarily have to do the thing, but I do have to ensure the result is brought about. So for example, this is just a life example. I care a lot about my kids remembering me as a present mom, and a mom that was there. But there are certain things that they won't remember that I ask for help with. So for instance, we cook dinner with our kids every night, but I don't cut the vegetables. I have a gal that comes into our house and helps us with that. And because I know, if I, like, there was a world where on the weekends I would be doing all the washing, all the laundry, all the floor stuff. Josh and I would both do it. And then we would just be, Monday would come around and we were ready for the weekend again, because we had no weekend. So we brought this gal in, and she helps us leverage the things that our kids won't remember. They're not parenting activities, but they're activities that must happen for the household to be maintained. And I believe, when one has a peaceful external environment, one can have a more peaceful internal environment. So we ensure that our house is like haveny, and our businesses are haveny, so that we can show up as our best possible selves. But that doesn't mean we have to answer every email. That doesn't mean we have to cut every vegetable. But I definitely want to cook dinner with my kids most nights. They remember that. They love it. They get up there with us and they go about it. Is there nights that I don't want to cook and I order Uber Eats? Of course. Of course. Um,
Right. It's a skill too to teach. Like, wait, I have a 13-year-old and I'm like, yeah, this is what we're doing
yeah,
right now.
yeah. it's and that's just like, it's just, I think it all kind of comes back to being intentional about how you want to show up, how you want to be remembered, how you want to spend your time. And there's various ways that I believe so many of us could leverage ourselves more. And either we don't because we believe we don't have the resources, or we don't because we feel like, who am I to have, like, we had this dialogue between us, like, who the heck are we to have a house manager? And we we then started to see, okay, if we don't engage and help, we're also going to be the business owners that show up and are not able to pour into our kids or our team because we're wiped.
Mhm.
So it's not, it's it's a luxury item, sure, but it's also a form of freaking self-love. Like, you're throwing into yourself in order to be able to show up for others. You're
Yeah.
engaging in leverage. And another way to ask yourself that is, what are the 20% of activities that allow me, that contribute to 80% of the fruit in my life? They're the
Mhm.
things I must engage in, and how can I potentially leverage the rest so that I still have the result, but I'm using time more efficiently and effectively.
Yeah, I always ask Eric, I'm like, "What are the $10 tasks?" And he's
Right.
gotten caught up with, like, mowing his lawn, and I'm like, "That's cool. I know that that could be something that you absolutely love." You have
Yeah.
2 kids now, right? And I was like, not only that, like, he keeps, like, things keep happening, and so every time he posts on social media, he's like, "Yeah, I know what Sarah's gonna say to me, just outsource this." It's not outsourcing, it's leveraging because
Yeah.
you're absolutely right, it's like again, your time is precious,
Right.
and when you're doing all of these arduous tasks that you do might enjoy, I bet you would enjoy listening to your child laugh a little bit more. I bet
Yeah.
you would
Yeah.
enjoy maybe, like, just you know, taking a moment for yourself and actually sipping your coffee and thinking about the grateful things that have happened this week and writing those down, right? Like there is intention that you set for yourself with the joyous moments that you now get to have and bring joy into your life versus, like, oh man, I just had to spend all weekend doing 5 loads of laundry and now I don't want to fold it. And
Mm.
like your
Yeah.
brain starts to get a little bit of resentment y-
Yes.
for the task that you have,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
we don't want to surround our love for ourselves with resentment. We want to be able to say, and even if we don't have that privilege, once you start to build and you allow yourself permission to say, hey, yeah, I don't want to do that task anymore. I'm going to outsource this. I'm going to leverage my time better. It you the money comes,
Yes.
right? Like, you budget, you think of things differently,
Yes.
and the money comes to you.
Yes.
Um,
That's so wise. Is like, what are certain things I'd be willing to sacrifice in order for me to, bring, more
like
ease to this area or whatever. Yeah, an activity I do with people often, and you triggered the thought, is I ask them, what would be your rich life? And I don't mean rich from a dollar amount perspective. I mean rich as in, like, what are the things that you'd like to be present in your life, that that would cause you to define it as being rich, meaning you have you feel love, you feel peace, you feel like you freedom, you are able to. And people would list, like, I want to go on, like, people would list, I want to go on weekend vacations more, or I want to be able to not have to do my laundry every weekend, or I want to have an assistant one day, or I want to have X number of direct reports or whatever. A lot of people, when I've asked them to engage in defining what their rich life looks like, what would be the most basically, what would be the most fulfill what would be the things that would have to happen for you to have lived a rich life? And they list a lot of stuff out, and so much of the stuff that they put down is already very attainable right now. They just never defined it.
mhm,
So like I've had the one that came to my head was, like, just go on weekend trips, and it's like, well, crap, I could go. This gentleman, his kids are out of the house. He could go on weekend trips more often, and he just never, and therefore he'd be engaging in what he defines as his rich life, but because he never defined what his rich life would be like, he's quote unquote not living it, when it
mhm,
was so within reach if he just took a minute to define it.
mhm,
And then you can start to put your practical hat on and say, okay, how can I make this real? maybe that's one less Starbucks coffee every single day. And as a result, that adds up. And in a month, you could go on that weekend trip. Maybe there's a more achievable way to, like, I know somebody who was getting a cleaner in every other week, and they were able to actually get somebody in. They were able to just restructure hours, have somebody come in every week, spend less hours, but the buildup never happened. So there's creative ways typically to bring about your rich life faster than you think, but you first have to define it. Like, what is important to you? And then how could I potentially bring it about, sooner or faster?
And
And
what I
surprise yourself. Go ahead.
Yeah, and what I hear is a lot of writing. So it's like writing things into existence,
Yes.
right? So for me, it's a 5-year plan and I just do a lot of dumping,
Yeah.
right? It's not what I have today. It is what I already have in my future is what I write out. It's in my weekly, it's not what I have need to do, it's what I have done.
Oh,
And so
wow.
I write it a little bit differently and I don't overflood myself. I give myself 3 big rocks. And if
Love
there
it.
are 40 tasks associated to them, then it's not important
No.
because I'm just creating something. And sometimes my visions are awesome and I wanna create, and those 40 tasks will do that, but there's grace and time. And I think that we always for me, I wanna just move so fast,
Mhm.
right? And I think that as a business owner, as a founder, as a CEO, as all these things, that whatever title you wanna give yourself, we push our time limits, and then that pushes our anxiety, and that creates mental
Yes.
and that creates, health problems. It just creates what you focus on. What you focus on, you find,
All
right?
day, girl. All day.
Yeah, and I
Well,
think that all these things that you're talking about is so good for a business owner, for a founder, for someone to listen to because for anyone to listen to. Write it into existence for yourself, categorize it the way that you and the level of importance, right? What is first for you? Is it faith? Is it your children?
mhm,
I mean, and I want you to really structure it and think about in the end, your children we have children to grow into adults. We wanna be present here, and if we can't, that happens sometimes, right? But, like, eventually, it will be you. You die alone, and so I want you to really think about, the listeners, like, structure your vision for the love of yourself.
mhm,
I think that's really hard when there's so many other people that we have to take care of. Does that make
mm.
sense?
No, it's brilliant. It's any leader that I reflect on who's done, like, really, like, contributed a lot to this world is their cup is already overflowing.
Yeah.
And it's the overflow that allows them make impact. So what are the things you're engaging in that allows your cup to overflow? Because it's the overflow that the engagement happens. You can't give something you don't have. If you
Mhm.
want to teach a person to engage in accountability or have respect for self and you don't have either, it's hard for you to, facilitate that result for another. So yes, you're freaking so worthy of possessing the fruits of what it is you're trying to bring about in the world, but you should possess them first. And sometimes that takes work. Sometimes that takes difficult conversation. Sometimes that takes difficult reflection. But I believe there's nothing more fulfilling than contribution. But in order to truly contribute, you first got to contribute to yourself so that you've got fruit to give.
Right. Yeah.
And it's okay if you're going through a season where you don't have a whole lot of fruit to give. All
Yeah,
right.
it's okay not to be okay. It's okay.
Oh, yes. And acknowledging that you're not okay is far healthier than denying your feelings because
Like, I'm just gonna push this down now.
oh, when you meet a person and they're bursting with anxiety, you can see it. It's like bouncing
You
off them.
feel it.
Yes.
Yeah.
To to
Yeah.
to to own one's emotion is so much healthier because it'll actually allow you process it. It's
Mhm.
it's a very old way of thinking. Like of course you're fine, and to acknowledge that I'm going through a tough moment right now, and that's okay. I'm going to get through it. Is actually you telling your brain a truth versus you fucking gaslighting yourself. Like
Right.
I feel great, and it's like your brain is like, no, you feel like shit.
Yeah.
um, and saying, I don't feel great right now, but I also know I'm a wildly resourceful woman or guy, and I'm going to get through it. That's a truth, and it's empowering. And I say to people all the time, I don't believe in positive thinking. I believe in powerful thinking. I
Mhm.
believe in resourceful thinking. I see myself as a strategist that can bring shit about from thinking, creatively, resourcefully, and certainly being honest with, myself and others.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely spot on. And I can't imagine what your mastermind groups are like, because this conversation has taken my thoughts to the next level, right? And that's what we're not there to influence others and to sell our products and like blah 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 blah, right? We're there to literally grow people because we're in a people and experience business. And
sure.
I can like, tell me about your masterminds, because this conversation has brought me to another level. I can't imagine what the conversations you have in that room and what you do to create brilliance and thought leadership all around you.
Yeah,
Like,
I appreciate it, girl. It's something I'm certainly passionate about because yeah, it's what I pride something that I'm really, really proud of about these masterminds is I think the thing that we do the best is, yeah, it has more of a luxurious vibe, but that's not what I'm most proud of. What I'm most proud of is there's such immense psychological safety in that room that everybody feels appropriate, feels comfortable and appropriate being vulnerable with one another. And then when everybody can just be human and admit the shit that they're not good at, whether that's operationally, from a profitability perspective, from a growth perspective, from a balancing life and work perspective, when that vulnerability happens and everyone in the group pours into each other, oh, the juice that flows in that room is so freaking profound. Because it's not me and Josh positioning ourselves as the expert. It's everybody is pouring into one another because everybody in that room has the same desire. And it's to grow personally, grow professionally, and grow financially so that they can live, a life that excites them. And I think that's what we do best is people feel wildly comfortable to be appropriately vulnerable, and then everybody pours into one another, and people leave feeling freaking tight, like they've buddies that they can trust and buddies worth trusting because they bear a lot of fruit in one area, they're good human beings, and it excites me for that reason in a very, very big way. The conversations are meaningful and the change is long lasting. And yeah, that's what kind of gets me stoked. That the Three Promises program and the mastermind are the things that light my heart on fire. But Clover Growth Partners as a whole really does. You probably noticed we've rebranded our name recently
yeah.
because Clover Growth Partners just so much more accurately encompasses who we are. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank
And
you
I
for
love
asking about the mastermind, by the way.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I wanna know all about you, right? Like, you are someone to know. And so, w my thought was, w what size businesses do you work with? Because I know that we can all get there, where the mindset is and the shift in the focus that you all have.
Yeah,
But what is that size business that you're looking for to make this monumental shift? Because
yeah.
it's gonna have a different leader.
Yeah, really, really good question. And we've been kind of navigating this question internally because I would say our current programs, the various different programs we have, the current ones are best for somebody above 2 million.
Mhm,
And and then we've had people that have come on we've had people that have come on at less, but at best at 2 million, but we've had some people that have come in at 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, 4 million, some that have come in at 20 million, some that have come in at 50 million, and their challenges are just different. Their challenges actually are the same, but
mhm,
the they they're just happening at a larger scale. So like
mhm,
$100 million company can have profitability issues. A $2 million company can have profitability issues. The challenge is the same, but the scale of it is different.
mhm,
So, but there's been a lot of people that have been coming to us recently who are either starting out or below 2 million and want our help. And we're experiencing what? Oh, sorry. I left the keys here and our daughter needs to be picked up from school. And we're experiencing wanting to help them, but not wanting them to pay for a program that they're not ready for. So
mhm,
we've turned people away, and we're currently working on a product for people below 1 million. It's not live yet; it's not ready yet. So if you're below 1 million listening to this, you're welcome to join our. We're going to start putting out more free content for any size company, but I would encourage you to just engage in that. And we're going to have more of a self-serving product available relatively soon. I think it should be by the end of this quarter because it's a rock. But our programs that we're most known for and have created the most impact for 2 million and above is where you're most. It's hard. Our program is not built for a person who's still on the field. That's kind of the nuance. So if you're still on the field and you need to be on the field, you need to be out in the field, the program we're building will be great for you. But our current program, unless you're willing to pull a load of late nights or you have a badass implementer, you might not be ready. But there has been people that are like, I'm going to pull those late nights. I have a badass implementer and they've made it happen. Like, or they have another freaking business that's funding this business. So like, we have a guy that comes to my mind is called Sammy from Apex Pros. He went from, and this is not normal. So whoever's listening to this, don't feel disheartened. He went from 2 to 25 million in 2 years with us.
Wow.
But he had a mobile business that funded that, so he didn't necessarily care about profit. We've had businesses where, like, there's a lot of people that come to my mind right now where they were husband and wife business, struggling. They were getting tired, but they knew they could do more. And they came on board and we were able to facilitate that. And although maybe the husband was on the field, the spouse was able to integrate stuff. So yeah, we basically just take anything that's I say to people, and this is why I was passionate about us owning other home service companies, just because things worked back in Parker and Sons that took it when Josh was there from 6 to 100, doesn't mean that stuff still works. Like, shit's evolving fast.
Yeah.
So anything we roll out, we actively are testing in our own home service companies before we release to members. So that anything that you only get the things that we actively know are working, because I know my time is precious. And unless I only want a person to engage in a resource that is going to bring about a result. So that's what I love about what we do. I believe we're different in that respect. We've done it and we're still doing it because I don't want to waste my time, and I certainly don't want anyone to waste my time, and I therefore don't want to do that to anyone either. So does that mean we don't have imperfections? Heck no, we do, and we're always trying to refine them.
Yeah. We iterate once we feel forward. Like working in marketing, like you said, it shifts at the second of search.
Yes. Yeah.
Who had a job like that, right?
I know. It's like this. I feel
like insane people.
We're forced to be so comfortable with uncertainty, because if not, we're going to be at a ball of anxiety because uncertainty is inevitable.
Yeah. And yes. And we're the biggest risk takers with other people's money.
Yes.
I love saying that because it's absolutely true. And we respect that. That's the biggest thing is like we learn fast, we fail forward, and then we iterate and pivot. And the best marketers and the best marketing agencies and the best contracting agencies, that's what you want to look for. You want to look for A, next level brilliance, B, processes and systems, and C, you want to look for those that are vulnerable and honest and say, you know what, like we're going to throw this out there. We're going to test, because marketing is a test. Like running a business is a test. You don't know what's going to work. What worked yesterday might not work today. And that's okay. And you have to pat yourself on the shoulder, give yourself a hug and just be like, this is going to be okay. Like, we're going to get through this together. And those are the best partnerships to have. So I can only imagine that the companies that you own, and I love that you own companies because you're not in there for a short-term relationship. You're in there to have an investment into a business. And so I think more marketers need to look at that structure of how are they acting as consultants, implementing, but leaving. Like there's an exit strategy and there's an ownership strategy, because I think that's really important for us as our careers are evolving, right? And then, so how are you also like teaching and leveraging AI to help make your business more automated, but also the other businesses that you're working with?
Yeah, when you asked that, the first thing that popped in my mind is the concept who, not how. You might have read the book, really, really great book, and I obviously saw AI as our future. I find wildly exciting, but I know I haven't. I don't know as much as I know. I know there's more I could know that if I knew, and and our clients could know, things would be, more efficient and better, and they could be the cutting edge, appropriately. And so what I did was we gave a little piece of Clover Growth. We gave a piece of Clover Growth Partners to an AI expert. His name's Ken Moskowitz. He's now a partner of ours in Clover Growth Partners. He's worked with like the NFL, Coke, M&M, like really large companies, and then like he's taken home service companies from nothing to something substantial too. And I was like, and the gentleman was, his business was, it was called Ad Zombies was his business, and the gentleman actually got cancer, and around the same time he bloody got cancer, because when it rains in life it freaking pours sometimes. AI was released, and he's so wildly freaking creative, and he writes incredible ads. As ChatGPT became pretty prevalent, and AI in general, his ad writing business took a freaking tank right at the same time he got cancer. And I know this guy, care about this guy, we've been friends with this guy, and I was like, we need to partner with Ken. We need to reposition ourselves in the market, because Clover Growth Partners so much accurately portrays us. He is on the cutting edge of AI because he was forced to embrace a thing that was sinking him. So I loved that about him. The AI was crippling his business, and instead of being so saddened by that, he chose to embrace that reality and became a total. He's a total freaking geek when it comes to AI, and and build systems on our back end so we can embrace it and our clients can embrace it, and embrace it in a way that the market still, is ready for it. Like I one of our companies is their call center is fully AI, and there's many of our other companies where they're doing some Avoca stuff, and they still have their CSRs, and they're working on that transition, because you want to embrace something but not cost yourself, a lower booking percentage, in the process. How do you balance both? And him partnering with him, I believe, is fundamental to allowing us embrace AI and allow our partners and members embrace AI. So my answer to you is, if there's something in life that you're not great at, but you need to begin embracing, who, not how, who is the person that could help you embrace it? And he's been that who for us. And Ken Moskowitz, brilliant guy, geeky in the best kind of way. And
yeah, I love your ads. I love your new rebrand. Like, I've been watching it, and I'm like, I'm so proud of you. Like,
I appreciate
it. I'm just like, wow, like, this is great. And the footage was shot. It's just beautiful. Like, it's clear. It's clear. It's like I like it. I like it a lot.
Thank you. He was able to just tap into who we knew we could be and who we knew we could be. We just didn't have the resources to bring it about. And he did. So sometimes you do have to make big moves that some people are concerned to give their business a piece of their business away, and as you should be. But making an informed choice and an educated decision to give some away to bring about a lot more is also wildly wise. Once you're being cautious, the paperwork is, you've thought it through. You're creating a win-win for everyone involved. And any leader that is either being promised a kickback when the company sells, get that crap in writing.
Yes.
Get that crap in writing. I have seen leaders in our industry get screwed over because they were told by the owners that they would get something in writing, and they did not. And they throw their freaking heart and identity into the flipping operation, and they don't get a paycheck at the end of it. You shouldn't create such insecurity for somebody that you're wanting to invest deeply in your company by not putting it on paper. And if you're the leader and the owner is giving you a percentage of the business, don't be freaking naive. Get it on paper. Then everyone's protected.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're creating a house, right?
Yeah.
Kind of with trust. Like, you're creating like protection for yourself.
Yes. And I always say in life, one should embrace nuance. I believe it's healthier to go about life trusting individuals and trusting that for the most part people have good intent. But you also should embrace being wise at the same time.
Yes. Yes. I love that. That's the perfect piece of advice to end this podcast on. Laura, where will people see you? B, how can they reach out to you? And C, is there anything else you want to leave our listeners with at the end of the day?
Oh, the thing that comes to my mind is I just wish you a fulfilling freaking life. You know, life is too short. Go about it. Go about it desiring fulfillment. Put yourself around people that can allow you possess the fruits of life and possess a lot of joy in the freaking process because life is too short. I share content that facilitates that some. Feel free to follow me on social. Clover Growth Partners is going to be posting a lot more free content and yeah, I care deeply about pouring into the people I touch. So you are welcome to email me, message me on social, and I will, make it a point to do all I can to get back to you and serve you in the best possible way. And yeah, cheers for having me on, Sarah. This was fun, and thank you for making me feel, at ease to just serve.
Yeah, I love it. Listeners, if you love our podcast today, please leave us a review, share it with your friends. Laura, it is such a pleasure. Also, I'm going to drop that Eric Thomas just released his book. So it's out there. Go and find it. We'll link it in the comments as well. Thank you. And I'll talk to you next time.
Thank you, guys.